let's build a park. So this is Parkitect, and this series is just going to be me building a pretty basic park in the game. If you saw my last video, it was an overview of how to get started with the game if you've never played before. This game is an early access game on Steam that is sort of in a similar vein to the old Roller Coaster Tycoon series. So it's pretty awesome, it's pretty fun. I suggest you check it out. So at the beginning here, I'm just laying out my path. I like to have that big wide path for visitors as they enter the park. Kind of just makes it feel open and welcoming. So you can see I'm kind of figuring out where to place certain things. I know I want to have my staff lodge off to the side here, so I'm going to stick it over in the corner so it's out of the way, but it's still pretty easy for staff to access, the main path of the park. So it's back in that corner over there. I'm testing out some different colors, and then in a second here, I am going to line up some trees along that path just so it hides it a little bit from the road. And I'm going to plop down a cash shop over here and then figure out where I want to have my info kiosk. I always think it's pretty important to have that sort of near the front so that anyone who's looking for any information about the park, they can just walk in and talk to someone. I'm also going to throw down some restrooms over there right by the entrance so that anyone who is looking for them can find them pretty easily. I'm also going to, after I get these trees all lined up, so here if you hit Alt, it gives you that little grid, and then you can snap certain items to that grid. It's really helpful to make the trees like that pretty nice and evenly spaced. So then over here I'm just testing out various different decorations on those two items. I think I just decided to put down some bushes to kind of make that cash machine look a little bit less lonely. But then I decide I will come back to that later, and I put down some trash cans and other decorations sort of around the entrance to make it feel a little bit more full. I decided that this would be a nice little area for some flowers and to have a sitting area, so I'm looking here for the flower box. I plop that down, and then I get the grand idea to stick a couple of info screens up there by the front for info for anyone just walking into the park, and then I'm sort of giving up on the decorations for a little bit and decide maybe it's time to put down some rides. So I'm going to pick some carnival rides and sort of figure out here where exactly I want them, and then I realize, this spot over in the upper right corner will be really nice when you walk in, and you can just kind of hit those rides up first. And I'm gonna end up putting two down here, and I'm just going to shut up for a minute while I finish building them. Alright, so we've opened those rides up and we're making them nice and pretty with flowers out front. And next I'm actually going to skip ahead a little bit. I was playing around with building an island for some food shops, and I liked what I was playing around with so much that I decided to just keep it, since it was kind of a cool test. So I've also noticed that everyone is walking around really slowly and slumped over, which means that they're all really tired, so they need benches to sit down on. So I'm going to plop a few of those around here, and also a few lights, even though the lights don't actually do anything for lighting effects in the game yet. but they still just look kind of nice when they're scattered around like that. So I put a few down there, and then I'm thinking about what else I should focus on, and I'm gonna put a row of benches down along the water just for another nice little sitting area. You can see there's still a lot of people that need a place to sit down and rest. Already people plopping down on those benches, so just gives them a nice place to relax. And then I'm gonna spend some time just figuring out how to decorate the rest of this island. I think the reason that this game is so interesting is that even though the art style is super simple, it's still very versatile, and you could spend, you know, hours and hours just decorating and fiddling with one tiny little area like this. So I think I'm thinking about maybe some hedges will look cool over here, and then, no, they look dumb. I try to put down a boulder and see if I can plop it 5.5 meters into the air, and the answer is yes, I can. But that looks a little bit silly over there, so what I end up doing is getting rid of those and focusing on some flowers and trees over here. What I was really looking for was, I guess, a way to theme this area in a you know, unique theme. There aren't really enough decorations yet to do that. You know, there's a couple of pirate decorations, and there's a couple of other spooky type decorations, but there's not all that much yet to really give an individual place in your park a personality of its own. So I kind of make do with what we have. I end up putting some flowers down and then some trees along both sides. Again, using that handy dandy Alt button to line them up and make sure they are nice and symmetrical. I do really like the variety of trees and bushes and stuff in the game. If you look at one on its own, they might look kind of blobby and weird, like this tall one here. But once you put them down and really decorate a place, they end up actually looking pretty great. So I take a break here and think about the prices at each of my stands. Of course, $1 for popcorn is far too cheap, so I raise it to a whopping $1.25. You can see, if you hit the thought bubble in those info screens, you can see what people are thinking about each stand, and if they're saying, you know, this item is super cheap, that's definitely a sign that you want to raise it. And just about ready to wrap up this one, but I'm just trying to fill in that last little open space. I end up putting down a couple of little potted plants to fill that empty square, and then for my last little decoration, I'm gonna decide that maybe a little floating raft would be kind of cool, that you can see as you're crossing this bridge. And I start to populate it with a couple of different barrels and stuff, just to give the water a little bit of an interest point to look at. So I'm gonna wrap this up here. Next time I'm gonna build an actual roller coaster, so if you want to see that, remember to like this video and subscribe so you can catch the next one. Catch you next time.